Okay.
All right. Bearder Bros Golf Show back again. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
A little bit of a quietish week this week. Coming off of the Ryder Cup. Not, many big headlines in the news this week. So we have some stories. And of course, our hometown Cowboys are about to start playing here in about 20 minutes. So we're not going to hang in here incredibly long. We're going to have a good tight show and get it in, get it out. Also, shout out to the Rangers going up 2-0 on the Baltimore
Yes,
Orioles
sir.
in the MLB playoffs. So, shout out to our DFW local teams today, out here representing. So, also when it comes to DFW, had an LPGA tournament, the Ascendant Championship,
Yeah.
with I think it's Hojoy Kim winning today. Not far behind that, a couple of places down was Lexi Thompson, which that's one of our kind of discussion points today. Lexi Thompson next week will be playing in the Shriners Children's Open in Las Vegas on a sponsor's exemption. What do you think about that, man?
I think it's good. I think it's good for the game. I think anytime that, you're doing Michelle Wee type stuff again, I think it's cool. Vegas is going to be pretty dry. The fairways are always rolling out on that course. So it's not like distance should be a problem. And it's not like she's not going to play the same tee that they are. So I don't see the problem in why she can't join up and play with them and see if she can make a cut. I think it's going to be a
Yeah.
good idea.
She will, I think, be the seventh woman, not necessarily a different woman, because like you mentioned, Michelle, we had quite a few starts on the PGA Tour, but the last woman to
Yeah.
make a cut was Babe Zaharias back in the day. So it has been a while since
A
a woman has
while.
made the cut on a PGA Tour event. So we'll see if Lexi has it in the bag. I mean, the guys on the PGA Tour are competing at a super high level. So, do I expect her to do horribly? No. But some added distance off the tee. If she can get some wedges in and give herself some opportunities, the game seems to be rounding out. She played well in the Solheim Cup here a few weeks ago, and like I said, a pretty high finish this week. Hopefully, she was able to kind of parlay that into some good play. Really up and down year this year, particularly at the Solheim Cup, even though she played well. Day one had some controversy about her not answering questions, so I'm hoping she's able to really pull it all together. One of the stories, kind of coming off of the Lexi Thompson exemption, is Peter Malnati, PGA Tour veteran, one of the player directors, called it a gimmick. I don't know if an advisor came and told him, "Hey, man, you might want to reconsider that statement," or if he was starting to get some backlash, but he later retracted that statement, softened it up a little bit, and just said that the PGA Tour didn't have to attempt gimmicks to get ratings; that they would do just fine. What do you think about my man coming out with the shots fired early on and then having to backtrack off of that statement? Do you feel any kind of gimmick, aspects to that?
No. So as far as the PGA and the LPGA goes, they probably have some type of partnership going, but I don't think anything is gimmicky in the PGA. I think that there's a lot of behind the scenes things going on, but as far as like viewership and popularity and things like that, it might be a ploy for that. But there's nothing gimmicky about this. You're acting like Lexi Thompson wasn't like a teenage prodigy. Didn't come on the LPGA when she was like 16, 17. It's not like she doesn't have the pedigree. But I just think it was just another time when somebody thought they could jump fly on a situation and they got hushed up. Sometimes you just got to stay in your lane and worry about what you have in front of you. And
Yeah.
this is one of those cases, brother, because you already have your money made. You already have your PGA status. If some LPGA star comes in and gets a PGA exemption, I mean, so be it. It's not going to take away from
Right.
you. It's not going to do it, deter anything that you have going on. So I don't even understand why a comment was made. I mean,
Right.
Nelly Corda comes out on an exemption, or Lynn Grant or somebody like that that's star studded at the moment, what are you going to say then? Possibly the number one player in the world, and then Lynn Grant, who's already won on the DP World Tour, Scandinavian mixed. So what happens if they come on tour? Are you going to still be saying these obtuse comments and stuff like that? I just think it's
Right.
not a place for it.
I mean, exemptions are exemptions. There's one, there's a handful of them every single week on the PGA Tour. I'm
Exactly.
pretty sure there's some people that get them, whether it be a local club pro or somebody that you would say, from a talent perspective, may not fit in with the PGA Tour guys. But again, if they make the cut, they make the cut, right? If they go out there and throw up a double digit, over par performance, it is what it is. But it is
Yeah.
interesting because it has been a while since Michelle Wee has done it, and we just haven't seen it. So I'm interested to see how it ends up playing out. And yeah, I agree. No gimmicks there. It is, just something that is cool. I mean, clearly,
Right.
this is a
Exactly.
charitable event. It brings eyes to the event, and it feels like the off season. I know we're not in full on wraparound mode anymore, but honestly, with the event coming up, the Grant Thornton with the mixed event, I think this is definitely it was a misstep to even read the room. These type of
Right.
things are going to become more common where there's going to be mixing of the women and men on the professional level.
100%.
It's just not going to be, even if you think about the father son, the PNC at the end of the year. The
Yeah.
Corda young ladies play with their dad, so yeah, it's just kind of silly. And again, read the room, understand where you're coming from, and don't get caught with a hot mic in your face and not really applying some thought to that as well. So,
Yep.
um, one of the things that we hit on last week that is still a bit fuzzy. Continued reporting. Alan Shipnuck, who runs, I think it's something Fire Pit Stories, a golf, mag, um, had some sources on the Patrick Cantlay hat story, and comment that he made on the first tee on that Friday, just pointing to a PGA of America employee, longtime marketing guy, saying, "When I get paid, I'll wear a hat like he does." So I thought that was interesting. People not being able to speak on the record due to their positions and roles, and clearly pretty tight circles up there. You don't want to really put that out there, but confirm that was said. Three people with knowledge and ears. Steve Sands refused to comment on the record, but I think that's also pretty telling. What do you think about? I mean, we were pretty strong about it, and the evidence was there. With him saying
Yeah.
the hat doesn't fit, there's some coded references in the fit thing. Any additional thoughts from you on the story pretty much being confirmed by some, different sources? Now we're not talking locker room anymore. This is on the first tee where an off the cuff comment was made by Cantlay.
Um, I mean, like I said last week, I mean, I agree and I don't. I mean, like when you're putting your pride on the line for your country, I mean, money really shouldn't be involved. But again, I mean, I can understand why you would want to get paid, but again, you're getting flown out. All your accommodations are already, paid for and stuff like that. So in a way, you are getting paid, like you said. But I mean, when you're putting your pride on the line, I don't really think that should be in the forefront of the situation. I think we're trying to focus on winning and then going from there. So again, I think, I mean, just people talking out the side of their mouth because they think they can, and then they're getting humbled, or somebody stepping in and telling them like, "Hey, look, you might think it's this way, but I need you to think it this way, or I need you to at least go through the proper channels and make sure that this doesn't come out because it's going to get ugly. Because I mean, you're going to either get exposed or the PGA is going to come out and have an actual official statement about it. So I just think a lot of people need to get back in their lanes and just do their job. So I'm not saying
I
that
know.
you can't
I
step
know
out.
you're a fan. I know you're a fan of low drama, from professional athletes, and
Right.
I'm a messy person, so I like to see a little,
Right.
people. I like to see people stepping outside of their comfort zone and maybe saying some stupid stuff. It gives us some things to talk about. So
Bless you.
thank you. So yeah, just wanted to follow up on that story. Go check that video out. It's doing pretty well this week. Took off a little bit and, you know, got a chance to, world to hear our opinion on that. Coming hot off the presses last week. So
Yeah.
chopped it up into a bite-sized bit. So it's available on the playlist, Bearder Bros Golf Show and Golf Opinion. Go check it out. Also, another point to mention, we have memberships available. If you're watching, hit us with a like, support the channel. Again, memberships available. Any support that you have, we appreciate it. You know, continue to be here every week talking about golf, things that interest us. Hopefully, they interest you as well. So let's keep
Yes,
it
sir.
moving. As you can see from the thumbnail on this particular video, torn up greens have become quite the thing this year. And, really over the last few years, you're seeing these pop up quite a bit. Every time I see it, it's pretty damn infuriating that I get it. The people, on one side, I'm going to give credence to one side, but then to kind of tear that down. You have people that say golf is wasteful, using up resources, land that could be utilized for other things. I would say if you're saying, oh, it could be a park or whatever else, there's a number of different abandoned buildings out there that could be repurposed for housing or whatever purpose or, that you see fit. And that golf is an exercise and a recreational activity. Over the years, it's become a lot more sustainable in terms of the use of water and just different techniques that courses use to conserve. And it's not all just about waste and haste. So, I get it. But a lot of these stories tend to be around just people being assholes and
Yep.
tearing up other people's property and not really making statements. And it's not like you see people saying, "Oh, we're responsible for this. This is why we did it." You're left to assume, but you'll see. I think it was just a few weeks ago. There was a video of somewhere. I think it was in Florida. Kids riding dirt bikes on a green. And you look at the cost to
Yeah.
repair some of these properties. I went through a few videos. There was one course that spent about $125,000, and some of it was out of pocket. I think it was Suffolk, New Jersey. $125,000. Some was covered by insurance, but that's crazy. And the time that it takes for these greens to be repaired, resodded, and members or people playing on temporary greens, it just pisses me off every time I see that. What what do you think should be the penalty outside of course, what's the cruel and unusual punishment for tearing up a green?
It's vandalism first off. I mean, then you're essentially stealing property because you're kicking up these greens, you're taking away from the play, essentially shutting down money. It's just honestly, if people want to play like that, and if the footage covers it, and like, listen, if they need to be put behind bars, then that's what needs to be happening because it's just ridiculous. I mean, and that's not even just coming from a golfer, that's coming from somebody that doesn't even have any property to own as far as that. And the disrespect is just insane. Like I don't think there's a place for it
Right.
despite how you want to protest. I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is one of those situations where it's just going to be me cursing a lot, and I don't want that. I just don't think it's any place in golf
It
for that
really,
or
really
in
isn't. It's
society.
it. it is to a certain degree property theft, right?
It really
you
is.
feel violated when that happens, and unfortunately, there's not ways to fence in courses. I think about a lot of courses that that kind of trace through neighborhoods, and that you can just
Hmm.
walk in off the street and go do something stupid like this,
Yeah,
and
do
maybe it just
whatever.
requires you know surveillance cut footage at on every hole on every course, that if somebody does do something stupid, you can at least have some footage of it, because you don't hear a lot of people getting caught and punished and put in jail, or whatever the proper punishment and legal recourse there would be for an incident
Yeah.
like this, unfortunately. So that's the downside of it. So it happened to the Jim Furyk and Friends tournament on the PGA Tour Champions this week. A couple of days before the tournament kicked off, they were actually heading into the Pro Am day, and four of the greens were torn up, and they had some help from, it looks like, TPC Sawgrass, getting these back in shape. So thankfully, they had the resources, and I want to play the video, quick little minute and a half chunk of footage from them, yeah, from the Instagram page here. So I'm gonna pull this up. Let me know if it is not
5:15.
playing. We're
By
good.
the time we got out here, I mean, there was a plan in place. Alan Brown's our superintendent here at Timuquana. He and his staff do an amazing job. This golf course is in perfect shape. They had a plan. I mean, they already knew what they were doing. They called in some favors. They had the agronomy team at TPC and the PGA Tour. But at the end of the day, we're gonna have an amazing tournament. Golf course is in great shape. It's going to have a very minimal effect on the golf course and the playability of it, and that's really due to the great work of Alan and his staff and the folks that he partnered with. So
we're removing our old stuff where it was messed up.
This
Cut it
and
out
like
with our
hole
plugger
cutting
here.
always fascinates me, how they're able to get these
Once it
Right.
looking
removes
really
that,
good.
we'll
Then they
level
just
the
put some water
hole
down
out.
and put a little roller
Then
down and
one of the most
make sure it's
important
all
things is you
smoothed
got to
out and
line up
stuff
your
like
grain.
that.
Otherwise, whenever you cut it with the mower, it'll scalp. Try to get it as close to level.
Even paying attention to grain.
We like to pull our seams up. That way, whenever we come through with the tamp, that'll tie in nice and tight. That way the ball rolls nicely over it. And these guys will put a little green camo sand.
This was the magic,
Help
because
kind
I
of
was like,
blend it
okay, that
into
patch
the
looks okay, but
existing green.
then when they put down this stuff and then water it in, you're like, okay, this is
Then we'll put a little water
that's
on it.
talent to me. That's just
Let it
nuts.
be.
So
Yeah, it's insane.
the A holes weren't able to fully prevail, and they were able to, of course, have a successful event this week. It's just unfortunate that, we live in a day and time where things are just, I don't know, it's different, and these incidents keep coming up more frequently, and are no less frustrating each time you see it. Just people not respectful of other people's property, even if you don't disagree. You don't have to go to measures like that. Kind of staying
Exactly.
with the PGA Tour Champions. um this was mentioned last week when I was watching. Had to go look it up, but my man Steve Stricker is over on the Champions Tour, ripping it up. He has 6 wins in this calendar year of 2023, and then four additional either solo seconds or tied for second places. Um, he was out sick. I believe it was just last year or coming back last year. Previous year to that, had some health challenges, but has come back and has dominated the PGA Tour Champions. I
Easy
guess
stuff.
somebody has, I guess, taken the crown from Bernard Langer at this point. So, man, what do you think about him playing? I think he also included in that has one of their majors. I want to say it was the U.S. Open or PGA
Yeah.
Championship. I'm one of those two. Forgive me.
I mean, he's doing it the right way. He turned 50 or whatever their little age limit is, and he's found a home. I mean, he's already hosted an event out in Wisconsin and everything like that, with the fam. So he's found a lane and he's sticking to it. Now, he still, from time to time is on the PGA Tour, but again, I think he's doing it the right way. I think he has, tried his best to get some popularity, And now, if you want to talk about a gimmick, or if you want to talk about a ploy, now this would be more believable when your low 50s, your mid 50s guys that actually had a name and some notoriety on PGA moved over to the Champions Tour, and they're trying to get some fans back out there. They're trying to get some popularity back into the Champions Tour. So they might be
Mm-hmm.
sliding Steve something on the side, like, hey, like, I know you still got the game to be on the PGA, but I need you to go to these Champions Tour events. And we're going to give you like a booking fee, or we're going to give you like an appearance fee or something like that. Just back, like, like classic old school, like, here's just like, just take the money. But, because Steve, he's got a family, they're all pretty much, grown and stuff like that. Like his youngest kid, Bobby, she's a golfer, was on his bag in his last professional event. I think in Furyk and Friends, I think she was out there caddying for him. But even then,
Right.
she's like a senior in high school or like a freshman in college. So they're all well established now. So he can be a Champions Tour stalwart and not really have to worry about, oh, my family needs this and my family needs that. If you're winning on the Champions Tour, that 200, 300K or whatever, plus your, stipend and then your sponsors and stuff, that's more than enough for him. So I
Yeah.
think
He
this is a
he's having a
perfect
really good year.
combination for them. Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, and the game is there always.
yeah, financially, he has made 3.9 million from the Champions Tour this year. He has only
Hmm.
played one event on the PGA Tour, and that was the Zurich Classic, so a team event, and missed the
Exactly.
cut in that event. So think they were only 7 under, which you have to go super low at the Zurich Classic to make the cut. So yeah, like you said, he's been fully dedicated to the Champions Tour. They have been
Looks
able to
good on
keep
him,
him
though.
in. It does. I mean, he's got the old man game going. I saw him hit a some type of wood on a par 3 that was playing about 199 this weekend. The other guys were out there with irons. I was like, wow, he's got the
Yeah.
full on old man game
He's
going
ready.
where he's so ready. But that swing hadn't
Heck yeah.
changed, man. It's the same swing, same putter strokes that we've always known from the PGA Tour. He's the same Steve Stricker that we have come to know and love. Seems like a genuinely just kind of humble dude. I think I've seen him cry on more than one occasion. So,
4 or 5
shout out to
times
Steve
easily,
Stricker.
bro.
Right.
For real.
Right. Shout out to Steve Stricker. Man with the heart, not afraid to cry in front of the cameras, and just tell he loves the game of golf, and I've never heard anybody say a bad thing about him. So
For sure.
cool beans. One last story that I want to hit on that was from the list. This week Corn Ferry Tour, wrapped up their season and granted their 30 PGA Tour cards to their guys. Saw a little blurb about a guy. I just happened to log into Instagram and saw this guy miss this putt. And let me put this little comment up here. Yeah, Mom, we're right behind you. She says, I'm logging off to go watch the Cowboys game. See you guys next week. Yeah, we're right behind you. Calm
Trust,
down.
trust, trust.
But yeah, I'm gonna put this video up real quick.
Oh boy. Heartbreaking stuff. Had to make that putt.
That putt was for a birdie. My man's needed that
He's
to
got his family
secure and guarantee his spot on the PGA Tour and get his card. And then he just had to play the waiting game to see what happened behind him. He could have
Yeah.
secured it. Ended up with the par, on that hole on 18. But you think about all the shots that you hit throughout the year, and I know it felt like it came down to that. But I'm sure there's any number of, errant shots where his mind may have wandered, didn't hit his best shot, maybe a 3 putt, a chip that just didn't come off right. That, it's crazy that it comes down to possibly one stroke to
Right.
move on professionally onto the next ranks. Like I said, he ended up getting 30th, the very last spot available. I think, like the clip said, his family was there. I went onto his Instagram page and ended up watching a handful of his clips and just him talking about his season. Interesting guy. It's very interesting to listen to him talk about his mindset about golf. But what do you think about that? Out of hundreds of shots, thousands throughout the year, that it comes down to a putt for your professional career.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's one of those times where I have to agree with John Rahm when the guys are on TV talking about the money and the money and the money and the money and stuff like that. That's not what they're talking. That's not what they're worried about. They're worried about that very next one shot. And I think that in itself is so stressful that whatever these guys need, as far as like the Marshall was saying, with the quietness and you being like making sure that they can concentrate and lock in, I definitely I think it's all warranted now because when your livelihood comes down to possibly this one round instead of like something that could have happened in March or something that could have happened in April, it's just a little it's really insane to think about. And it puts it all in perspective that one moment can change or define what you got going on for the foreseeable future. So I everything that they say about the pressure of the
Right.
PGA, I believe it now. Even down to the Corn Ferry Tour, the Q School,
Yeah.
all that stuff. That pressure is just insane. So it's not about what you're doing on your best day. It's about how you're maintaining when you're trying to make the cut, trying to barely scrape by. All those times where you missed the cut by one or missed the cut by two, you're thinking about that freaking bogey that I made on three, where all I had to do was just chip it out and just make a freaking bogey instead of going hero and made a triple. And now I'm sitting here like,
Right.
well, dang, man. Now I'm 2K under the
Yeah.
earnings pool or whatever. It's just, man, it's
Because
scary. I shoot.
there's no guarantee that had he not been able to get in this year, that he has the
Right.
same
What
type
would
of
have
season
happened?
and is able, I know you probably have that extra hunger at that point to try to get back there, but there's no guarantee. The game of golf is finicky, right? Your swing
Yeah.
can come and go. The best of them, right? Even in that mix of 30, there's a guy named Josh Teeter that's been up on the PGA Tour. This will be his third time
Yeah.
up there. He's 42, 43, 44 years old. And, clearly each time he's probably been there, I think he made the FedEx Cup 3 years in a row from like 2010 to 2013, and then has been battling to get back on the PGA Tour. You just know, right? There's no guarantees that you are able to put yourself in that position and that there aren't these young guys coming up, both the Cootie brothers, Pearson, and I'm forgetting the other twins name because he's a little bit further down the list. Like both those
Yeah.
guys, 23-year-old twins, now on the PGA Tour. There's no guarantee that there's not the next crop of, young guns out there that are going to take your spot. And if you're in your 30s and teetering on your 40s, that you're not, this isn't, you don't know if this is your last opportunity to get there. So kudos to that
Yeah.
man for being able to pull it out. But I think, like you said, you spoke to the pressure of, PGA Tour professional golf. We saw that today in the Sanderson Farms Championship, with Ben Griffin leading after rounds 2 and 3, going into the
Mhm.
final day with, I think, a 3-shot lead. Ends up shooting the final round 74. Goes into 18 with the chance to, if he gets a par, he has that 1-shot lead. He wins the tournament. On his
Yeah.
approach, he's in the first cut of rough. He ends up, he's on the wrong side of the hole for one. He's on the left side of the hole with the left hand pin, and ends up overdrawing his approach. He could have missed to the right, and they talked about that in the post game. He could have missed 20 feet to the right of the green. You just couldn't miss to the left, and he missed to the left. Could not get up and down. Ends up with the bogey. He even had a putt at the par, and it just hung out on the right hand side, caught the lip, and then snuck past a little bit. But heartbreaking. He enters a 5-man playoff with Aber or Aber. God, what's the dude that ended up winning? My brain. Um, Luke List was in there. So,
Mm.
5-man playoff on the PGA Tour is nuts. So you, five tee shots in a row, five guys playing out of the freaking fairway, and I think three of them ended up hitting the green, but Luke List hits an incredible long putt. And you could just tell at that point, Griffin was actually inside of him. He was the last one on the green with an opportunity. But again, that pressure snuck up on him, right? You shoot a
Yeah.
74 in the final day, and then you have a chance even on 18 after that to win it. And it's tough to get that first win. So just another story to kind of knock down the point that you mentioned earlier about the pressure of it all.
Yeah.
Before we retire and get on to this Cowboy versus San Francisco 49er game, biggest game I think of the year so far. What any other golf stories that you want to hit on before we wrap it up?
Um. I did watch some of the LPGA at the Ascendant. I will say it's very, very funny that I will say that one thing I do think is gimmicky is Lexi Thompson did some on course interviews to kind of make sure she's
Oh,
answering all the questions and getting her little persona back good. So good on
little
her, I
PR,
guess you
huh?
could say. Good
So I
on
didn't catch
her.
that. Did they do it? Did they do it walking with the reporter, or did they have the
Walking with the
AirPods in?
reporter, yeah. Nah, they had Karen
Wow.
Stupples out there with the hand mic, and she was like, "Thanks for doing this, Lexi." Da 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 da. And I'm like, "Oh, interesting."
Bro,
Hmm.
you know what's crazy is the PR game is actually it's so interesting, like the way we can pick these things out now, and just I think
For
these
real.
things always kind of happen, but we have much more visibility, with clips being reposted to the internet pretty much instantaneously these days. You
Mhm.
log on to Instagram and you can catch the latest controversy within minutes of it happening versus
So quick.
having to read through newspapers. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how the PR game is played. And good catch again, trying to rehab the reputation coming off of the Solheim Cup and not answering questions squarely, and then of
You
course
know it.
next week coming up. So yeah, kudos to her for knowing that that was probably something that was necessary and needed, given her reaction last week. So
Definitely.
all right, my guy, we're gonna go ahead cut off. It's America's night football night, with our team, America's team. Bearder Bros Golf Show. We'll be back at it next week. We appreciate you tuning in. If you're catching the replay or if you caught it live today, then once again, I'm Rod.
We appreciate you. I'm Marcus.
See you next week.